Aloha everyone, and welcome to the Royal Hawaiian Center, where aloha comes alive. This evening we will be sharing some stories of us, the Hawaiian people, and we hope that you will enjoy them. First of all, we'd like to share with you that tonight, as you watch the hula, you'll be watching some of our ancient dances. So if you were thinking of the guitar and the ukulele and swaying hula girls in the skirts, we're not going to have any of that tonight. We're going to be using some of our very old instruments and telling you the stories about us, the Hawaiian people. So from all of us to all of you, we welcome you with the word aloha.
E halele bua no iana kanoe o ka uno ia e ano inei e li anei hoi o ka hiki mai a hiki mai no o iki puno me ke alo Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Aloha is a word that we use to welcome, to farewell, and to show affection. It is our custom to open with an olu, a song of welcome, and that particular one welcomed family and beloved as they made their way up the mountains, and they appeared like the mist, greeting one another. So that is our greeting to you. As we start off this evening, we are going to be doing a pa'i in honor of Hawaii's last king, David Kalakaua. The avenue to your left is called Kalakaua Avenue, and it has probably been the road that you've been traveling in and out of Waikiki. The name Kalakaua means day of battle. Not that Kalakaua was a great warrior, but when he was born, two factions of the family engaged in wanting to raise the child in their manner, and so the name Kalakaua. We begin with a mele called Kawika, David, the beloved.
Ai, Kawika, ka hekea o nā pua. Eia no kawika ka hekea o nā pua Eia no kawika ka hekea o nā pua Kauila maka ikina mala mala maha vai Kauila maka ikina mala mala maha vai
This mele says the graceful life of King Kalakaua. He was known as the Merry Monarch, and he was the first reigning king to travel around the world. The mele says, who does the great king honor? His father, Caesar, Kahanu, Papa'ake. And so the stories are told through all generations about the great king, David Kalakaua.
David, La'amea, Lumialani, Mahimulani, Nalo Iai Huokalani, Kamana Kaupu, Kalakaua.
Kalakaua, being called the Merry Monarch, and for you, our malihini who are visiting, you might want to put on the kiwi or the television and have a look at the beautiful dances being held now on the island of Hawaii. It is called the Olympics of Hula. And there are many, many Hālau or dance schools that are entered in this great competition from Thursday, Friday, and of course this evening. So if you have the opportunity, then be sure that you tune in. Our islands were born of fire and then tempered by water. It is said that Pele, the goddess of fire and volcano, came to these islands from the south, leaving her home in Kahiki. She rode upon, they say, the back of her brother, Kamo'oali'i, the great shark. Accompanying Pele were her brothers and a number of Hi'iaka sisters that would tend the fire in their new home here in Hawaii.
Hi'iaka kapu ena ena.
Iaka kapu ena ena.
Hi'iaka wawahilani.
Before Pele would engage in a great eruption like the one taking place on Hawaii Island, she would awaken her sisters, letting them know that in her mind a great eruption should occur.
Iaka noholani.
Hi'iaka mokole wawahi wa'a.
The Hi'iaka sisters could be seen in the elements of the eruption, the flames of fire, the pink clouds over the crater, the beginning of ash blowing up, the vapor of mist rising high.
I'iaka I ka poli o pele.
Awaken my sisters. It is time for a big eruption. When the Hawaiians saw this, they called out, Ayala Opele. There is the fire goddess.
Ayala o pele I Hawaii. Ayala o pele.
Ayala o pele I Hawaii ea, ke a mai nai mau pele ea. Ayala o pele I Hawaii ea, ke a mai nai mau pele ea.
Soft and loud, the sound of the lava could be heard rolling over the land.
O kameanani kai pali e puleloa ela ina pali
How beautiful to behold the flames of fire whirling in the night sky high above the cliffs.
Aya kapalena I maui aina o ka ulula au Aya kapalena I maui aina o ka ulula au
Where will you and I go? Should the wave of lava enter the Hālau channel and come to the island of Maui, the land of the great trees?
Aina ia mai ka puana no ia ka no no Aina ia mai ka puana no ia ka no no ala
Hei noa no, I'iaka I ka poli o pele.
Mahalo. The name you heard, Kawaikapuokalani, was Pele's favorite Hi'iaka sister. She was carried as an egg from the south to our Hawaii. And when here in Hawaii, there came a most beautiful young girl. And so her name is immortalized in many of the dances of Pele. Pele is said to take three forms, the goddess Pele. One, a very young and beautiful woman. Another, a white dog with red eyes. And the one that most people see is that old woman walking around the crater in the early morning hours. The Mele Kilauea celebrates Pele and her sisters as they dance and they prepare for the great eruption.
Ai, Akaluna o Kilauea. Akaluna.
Akaluna o Kilauea, Ike ia Hawaii.
Akaluna.
High above, on the slopes of Mauna Loa, you will find Pele in the fire pit of Kilauea.
Ha'ana.
O Kawaii Pele, ui ua mai anala.
Ha'ana.
Ha'ana o Kawaii Pele, ui ua mai anala.
Pele is cloaked in red, orange, glowing in the night. The lava begins to roll over the land. With a mighty crash, it enters the sea.
Romeana.
No me ana o Pele ina, aia kapalena e kaiea. E noa noa e Pele ea, kawaii no ai ki auea.
And so the sisters call, Oh, elder sister, return to our home and let us sing and dance and celebrate your great power.
O ino e te kapi ki lau e a, e ora mako a mauloa. O ino e te kapi ki lau e a, e ora mako a mauloa. E ala, e ala, e a, ai e.
And so the land built by fire. But then the land was tempered by the falling rain. The way we present these stories to you tonight is the way that we learned them as young children here in Hawaii. Kupuna would gather, and in Hālau, they would share these particular stories so that the gods and goddesses of old would not so much be revered as that they would be remembered. It is said that there are many kinds of rains that fall in our Hawaii. Every rain, depending on where it is, or the intensity of the rain, is given a name. Our mele says, Kāwaikapuokalani. When the heavens cry, the earth will live.
Ai, ue mai o kalani.
Ue mai o kalani, e o lai ka honua lai. Ue mai o kalani, e o lai ka honua lai. Wana ulu, ua kiki wakani le ua lai.
There are rains that fall so suddenly, and there are rains pushed by the wind behind, and there are rains that fall specifically on the red lehua blossoms.
Ua pa uki lai, ua pe puhala lai.
There are rains that soak the grass, like the rains of last week and last evening. The rains soak the grass and make you run to find shelter under the spreading Hula trees. There are rains that surround the home and rain profusely. And there are rains that make you feel happy and glad. There is a rain that tumbles into the ocean, and then a rainbow appears with one foot on the land and one foot in the ocean.
Ina mai lai, ue kalani lai. Ina mai lai, ue kalani lai.
And so our story of the falling rains. So you know of Pele, the goddess of fire and volcano. And then you've heard about all the different rains that fall in our Hawaii. There are also many stories of chiefs and chiefesses who fell in love, who married, and continued a whole generation of warriors. Our mele takes us to the island of Kūhai, and you will see that the dancers are using an instrument called a pu'ili, or split bamboo. In the mele, we take you to the farthest island to the north, the island of Kauai. The story celebrates the magic flute called Kanikavi. The chiefess, Ka'ililauokekoa, in her dreams, heard the sound of the magical nose flute expressing feelings of love. Encouraged, she began to follow the sound up to the mountain of Waialeale.
Hano e ka ukao I ana kalani I ka leo ka o e kani e ka pi. Hano e ka ukao I ana kalani I ka leo ka o e kani e ka pi. Nana e ho o ke aloha, aloha ai ka iwi lau o ke koa. Nana e ho ke aloha, aloha ai ka iwi lau o ke koa. E tuini ia ho mea o nā manu, he alanu he ahua mo ki ana. E tuini ia ho mea o nā manu, he alanu he ahua mo ki ana.
And so Kahilau o ke koa followed the sound of the nose flute. Up the mountain she traveled, past the queen of the birds. She was not deterred by the thunder and lightning. Her heart fired with love. She continued up to the very summit of Waialeale.
Haina ka inoa o ka wahine, o hali a laulani o inoa. Haina ka inoa o ka wahine, o hali a laulani o inoa.
For those of you who are malihini, meaning newcomers to this our Hawaii, I would like to share with you who the performers are. You will see much hula in our Hawaii, very many different levels of hula, but I want you to know that tonight there are two graduate dancers trained in the old school who are here. This is Kawaikapuokalani and also Kawaikapuokalani. They are graduates. They are not just haumana or students in the Hālau hula. They wear the attire of the graduate dancer. They wear the kahuli lei, they wear the feather lei hulu, and they wear the leho that denotes that they have studied and they have maintained and they have earned the 5 skirts necessary to achieve the ʻŌlapa or dancer status. So again, these young girls have their own careers in law and in health, and yet they have been able to attend that. They have both been taking the dance of hula since they were 3 years old. You can multiply that by 10, and then you'll know how old they are. Now, the woman who's doing all the chanting, her name is Kaulana, which means celebrated, and she is celebrated. She has not only attained the title of ʻŌlapa, earning the 5 skirts, she has also attained the title of ho'opa'a, or chanter, the one who memorizes all the beats to complement the dancing, all the words, all the beats, and all the nuances in the dance. And she has also attained the title of Hula, excellent teacher in the art of hula. And she wears the adornment, which is the kihei. She wears the kabulu, the leihulu, and she has in her possession also the number of skirts earned as an ʻŌlapa. So that is kaula. Now, in addition, you must have heard these things from the movie A Lilo and Stitch. We're all ohana, and yes, we are. Kaulana is the mother of Kawaikapuokalani over there. And Kawaikapuokalani and Kale are cousins. And Kaulana's mother, who is here today, and we're very happy, she holds also all 3 degrees. And she has been teaching here at the Royal Hawaiian Center the complimentary hula lesson that some of you may have come to. She has been teaching that for over 42 years. And we are proud to have her here. There she is, Pokeala. And we are very honored to say that these are graduates, and they come from the oldest formal dance school in Hawaii, whose style of hula comes from the island of Kūhai. So thank you everybody for coming and listening to our stories and enjoying our dances. And we'll continue on with more stories. You know there's Pele, the goddess of fire and volcano. But there is another goddess who lives on the high mountain of Mauna Kea. She is the snow goddess, Poliahu. And Poliahu herself has a number of sisters and brothers. And this next story talks about Lili Noa, one of the favorite sisters of Poliahu, the goddess of snow. This is her sister, Lili Noa, that means the fine mist.
Oia ho'i o ka mauna hana ka mauna, o ka mauna awane I kou lalo nei la, o waila awane I kou na la, o waila o ka la aia, aia ho'i ha. O lili noi I ke kua lono o mauna kea, no hoa lono ana I ke kule ana o aiau, I ke ao malamalama o a kea, e a mai mauna loa me ua la laila, me na buhu kimi a o ai me ala e. O lili noi I ke kua lono o mauna kea, no hoa lono ana I ke kule ana o aiau, I ke ao malamalama o a kea, e a mai mauna loa me hua la laila, me na pu'u kimi a o ai me ala e. Ka ko'o na kohana me kale akala, a hiki mai o ka ala me wai ale ale, kama kou tani au me lana I hale, mai mauna denaria I mauna taranaki, na mauna hukupuna o ka kola e.
Lili Noi prepares the beautiful dresses that Poliahu wears. As the mist, she visits all of the islands of our Hawaii. She has gone as far south to Mount Taranaki in New Zealand, and as far north to Mount Denali, also known as Mount McKinley.
He kapa kalu kalu ko lili noe, o kanoe huhu ne o ke tua lono, uhi uhu o lihau I ke kua hiri, ho a ka hula me ka hau pohane, kupana ke kapua loha o hula
The mist is beaten to such perfection, and Poliahu wraps herself in this mist. There is a yellow glow from the flowers called the mamani. And when you see that flash of lightning in Kona on Hawaii Island, you know that it is Lili Noa striking her tupperware to make these beautiful garments. And so are some of the stories of our gods and goddesses. You know, we also have ali'i, or royalty, who ruled these islands until 1893. They come from a long line of chiefs who can recite their genealogy back to a place where we call the Kumulipo, the beginning of time. There was a queen in our Hawaii called Emma, and her beloved husband, Alexander Liho. They were an ali'i couple who went from door to door to ask their people to support a hospital for Hawaiians in the 1860s. The hospital survives today as the Queen's medical center in the Pacific. The Mele Hanaya Kamalama takes us away from Honolulu, which is very hot and dusty, and takes us up to an area called ʻŌwanu, which is very cool and pleasant. And so the ali'i, after a busy week, would make their way up to Hanaya Kamalama, known as the Queen's Summer Palace.
Aia kanani hanaya kamalama. Aia kanani.
Aia kanani hanaya kamalama. Ahome aloha o e malani. E olu kanonai uani. Ipapade age akamakani.
Aia kanani.
Aia kanani hanaya kamalama. Ahome aloha o e malani. E olu kanonai uani. Ipapade age akamakani.
He mamo aloha.
He mamo aloha na ke oniana. E mimi no I kaukaduka. Ilaila kawaii o manae ula. Kapua leali o pola pola.
You might read about our Queen Emma. She was what we call Hālau. She was Hawaiian and she was English.
No I kaukaduka. Ilaila kawaii o manae ula. Kapua leali o pola pola.
Aina.
Haina kai noa o Kūhai, o e malani o e aloha ia.
Aina.
Haina kai noa o Kūhai, o e malani o e aloha ia.
Hino ano Emily.
Emma was married to Kamehameha's grandson, Alexander Lihoiho. And then later, it was Emma who ran against David Kalakaua. David Kalakaua would become our second elected king. And at this time, he was able to go to Washington, D.C., and he was received there as the first king from an outlying area who was treated as royalty at Washington, D.C. The mele is called Koloana o Kalakaua. Let me travel over the sea. The young dancer Kawaikapuokalani uses the uli, or feather rattling bow. Pakani.
Ai. Holo ano kalakaua. Holo ana.
Oloana o Kalakaua, e ka pono na moki.
Kahiki.
Ka hihia o imai, ka hihia o Kalekane, ka hihia wawa e pahu, ka ohe ka eke, ka pahu kania londo, o londo I ka makahi,
Ho'o hei hei.
o hei hei ka moana kania, e a pahuari.
Ke o mai.
E o mai e kalani o Kalakauala e noa.
Hino ano ke ali'i. David, La'amea, Lumialani, Mahinulani, Nalo ia e huokalani, Kamanako pu'u, Kalakaua.
After Kalakaua died in San Francisco in 1891, his older sister became then the Queen of Hawaii. Her name you may know as Li'uokalani. She penned the most famous song called Aloha Oi. When Kalakaua went to Washington, D.C., and when he traveled around the world, he left Li'uokalani to be regent in order of all the Hawaiian Islands. This mele celebrates the royal train that she used to go and visit the people of the outlying districts.
ki a ke kahiali na na ila be mai ko au puni.
Olana kila.
Olana ki a ke kahiali na na ila be mai ko au puni.
Ahiki.
Ahiki o kalani mo ana lua haua ko holo holoa o ngā lava.
Ahiki.
Ahiki o kalani mo ana lua haua ko holo holoa o ngā lava.
Alava.
Alava iho o e maka au au ana no me ka ina i te alava.
Alava.
Alava iho o e maka au au ana no me ka ina i te alava.
Aohe.
Aohe o loa e mana nai ke upaua na riki.
Aohe.
Aohe o loa e mana nai ke upaua na riki.
Ho'okahi.
Kahiko leo
The Princess Regent spoke once and asked the conductor to bring the train Lanakila to a stop.
Ho'okahi.
Kahiko leo o te kuina o ka aia mai na rikiri.
Akau.
Akau o kalani I ke kaapi o huli a pupuli mai o ona ilai.
And so the Princess Regent stood at the back,
At
the back of the train under an arch, turning this way and that way to express in aloha her gratitude for the many people who came to see her.
Norei papale ke aloha na kupana ki o kalani.
Ekunovehi.
The Kanaka, the Kupanaka who lived on the land, removed their hats in great aloha for their beloved princess.
Keakumako.
E aku mako e o mai o e o liu o kalani la e loa. E aku mako e o mai o e o liu o kalani la e loa. E ala e ala e a ai e.
Hinoa no ke alihi wahine. Liria. Vili ulo loku. Walania vevehi. Kamaka eha kapaakea. Vili uo kalani.
And so stories of our leaders. The stories for our kamali'i, our children, are very important. It allows them to connect to the great ancestors who have gone before them. We take you now again to the island of Kauai, the island to the north of Oahu. And we do for you one of the oldest classics. This is called a hula kapu. It utilizes the dance drum and a small drum called a kilu or pumiu. In Hawaii, we don't strike our drum membranes with sticks because we believe in our Hawaii that everything has an essence, has an ola, has an honor, has a purpose for life. And so the ka is a woven item. It's not a wooden stick. We do for you this mele, and it is, again, as we said, it is the oldest surviving hula pahu in our tradition from the island of Kūhai. If you can imagine a time in our Hawaii where almost every valley, one could hear the sound of the hula pahu as the students gathered in the Hālau. The sound would ring and sound so beautiful.
Ai, kauniua I ke anu o wai ale ale.
ia o haua i ua pe te ai kaua ua e hai kana e le au i e kapua e ai ke ai e na vai la le ua o ki ana ua ana.
The Mele says, what I have done in good faith. And what I say, I always speak in truth. The dancers of the Hālau Hula are taught that all life is given by a great power, a supreme being. They are taught to listen to the winds of life that blow about them and within them. It says, be ever watchful, be ever attentive. In life, one must have a strong foundation, and hands must be extended to help and to comfort. They are taught that one day they will bring forth life. They are taught to hold on to the teachings of the kupuna of old, to lift their eyes to the heavens and be filled with gratitude. And though others may cross your path, be ever truthful to the spirit within you. Again, I thank you for being attentive and listening to our stories. These dances, like the hula paku, are really reserved for us. But we share them because we want you to come to know us, understand us, and to understand that our land, our aina, is like an older sibling. It is not just a commodity. It is the land, it is our sibling. And so we ask that you care for it as you would care for a beloved sibling as well. Love the land. Know that it depends on your aloha for the land to continue to live. And so we share all of these hula with the fullness of our hearts, that you will come to know us and that you will come to appreciate us as the Hawaiian people. We're going to go back now to the very first hula that we did, where girls are going to dance it. And this time, Kaulana will do the pa'i alone. And why this mele is so important? Because there are many po'e hula around the world. In Japan, in Korea, in China, in Sweden. They're everywhere, in Germany, across the United States, Canada, Mexico. Because people love the depth of the hula. The mele they know, and probably if you know someone in hula, is the song Kavika. It's usually the first one, and it means David, the beloved king. And so we share that with you again because he is responsible for being sure that the hula lived and survived after missionaries came here in 1820. So we thank all of you, and we hope that you will enjoy our presentation of Kavi.
Ai, Kavika, kahekea o nā kua. Eia.
Eia no kawika kahekea o nā kua Eia no kawika kahekea o nā kua
Like lightning, the king's personality seemed to uplift the Hawaiian people at a very difficult time. Remember, he was the first king, reigning king anywhere to travel around the world in 1881. He became a very good friend of Queen Victoria of England.
kapua e Na wai e kapua inuna e Ka paake ano kamakua e Aina ia mai kapua na e O kalani kawika e noa e Aina ia mai kapua na e O kalani kawika e noa e E ala e ala e a
Mahalo La'oko for being so good, listening to our stories. And I hope that you take away, if nothing else, our aloha for all of you. You know the word aloha, it means kindness, it means unity, it means humility, it means to be kind in ways that are more human than not. And it also expresses patience with ourselves and patience with each other. So from the young dancers, Kawaikapuokalani and Kawaikapuokalani, from our hula ʻŌlapa, Kaulana, and of course from their mother, Kuake'ala, and from our teacher who has been gone now for 42 years. Her principles of hula and what she taught continues to live. So again, from all of us to all of you, have a wonderful stay in our Hawaii. God keep you safe until you get home, and aloha.